And good morning. Welcome to another episode of HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Appreciate y'all for joining in. So let's get started. We got a special 2-hour show for this Friday. Let's get to it. So we got to start last night's game. Something I've taken to heart and I've used repeatedly throughout the course of doing this is Cris Carter said 99% of guys are system players. And it's never been more true than if we look at this resurgence of NFL quarterbacks. The Geno Smiths, the Baker Mayfields, and last night, obviously, Sam Darnold. When Sam Darnold was drafted, yes, there was high expectations. He was a top 5 pick. And there's all these things he was supposed to do when you're that high of a draft pick. But the reality was he went to the New York Jets, not very well run, not very stable, whole lot of issues. What did you want Sam Darnold to do? If you're just being honest, what did you want Sam Darnold to do with that franchise, that team, that code? Like, there was nothing in place to help him succeed. It was going to be a struggle from day one. He then bounces around the league. He goes to Carolina, ends up with Minnesota last year. And in Minnesota, he has this breakout season, 14 wins, 4,000 passing yards. Did it end how they wanted to? No. But now he's in Seattle, and Seattle is now 3-1 through 4 games. And is anyone going to say Sam Darnold is elite? Is anyone going to say Sam Darnold's a top 5 quarterback? No. But does he work? 1,000%. And we sometimes get a little too caught up in he needs to be elite if he's a top 5 pick. No, not really. There's enough, and I've said this a bunch throughout the years, and I've said this a lot the last couple weeks, people got upset. There's enough bad quarterback play that all you really want is somebody to be consistent and or good. That will get you a lot farther than people realize. And really, the consistent is the biggest thing because Seattle at least looks like a competent offense the entirety of the time that Sam Darnold is out there. When it comes to, you look at the other side of the field, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, for the first 2.5, 3 quarters, it was like, what's going on? We got drops, you got inconsistencies, you got it was 8 drives. The first 8 drives, they only had a little over 100 yards, and they got the majority of the yards the last couple of drives. And situationally, again, not just situationally, but the situation that Sam Darnold was in New York, the reality is it was never going to work. That's just the reality of the New York Jets version of Sam Darnold. It doesn't matter how high the draft pick was. It doesn't matter how much they wanted it to be a thing. It just was never going to work because the Jets were not good enough. The Jets were not competent enough. That was franchise failure from the top down. So even though he wasn't able to make it work in New York, even though then when he goes to Carolina, again, another franchise, not very well run, doesn't know what they're doing. You see it again right now with Bryce Young. There's a bunch of ups and downs, despite Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall pick in his draft. Like, a lot of these guys, to quote Cris Carter, 99% of them are system players. 1% of guys ever just work everywhere. The Mahomes, the Lamars, the Josh Allens, yeah, they'd probably work everywhere. The Joe Burrows. But even them, look at the situations they got in, and it's a reflection of their success. Mahomes inheriting Andy Reid, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. That's why he has multiple rings. Not that he's not amazingly talented and one of the best, if not the best quarterback we've ever seen. But he inherited a lot. He had a good situation that he fell into. Josh Allen took a couple years because the Bills Josh Allen got when he first came to the league weren't that great. Joe Burrow, I've said then, and I will continue to say, and it looks like it's more and more true, Joe Burrow is extremely impressive because he got the Cincinnati Bengals in his second year starting to a Super Bowl. That's incredibly impressive. You got the Bengals to a Super Bowl? Wow. And then Lamar Jackson, you get the Ravens, you get to sit behind Joe Flacco. The Ravens, historically a well-run franchise, an organization that knows what they're doing. Obviously, more known for their defense than offense, but you inherit the right organization, you inherit the right coach, the right players, and then you let special take over. Excuse me. Excuse me again. So Sam Darnold is just the average NFL player. He needs the right situation, the right coach, the right teammates, and that's fine. He's one of the 99% of the guys to play in the history of the National Football League. Let's go over to the other side. At some point, now we're going to talk about at some point what you have to start doing with guys when you get into this, when you get into week 4, week 5, week 6, and it's like, okay, it's no longer, oh, it's just early in the season. It's no, this is who you are. Double down on that. It's not year 1. It's not year 2. It's not year 3. We know who Kyler Murray is. Kyler Murray is an extremely talented athlete. I think he was still the number one. I think he's still considered the greatest football player to ever come out of the state of Texas, which is an incredible accomplishment as a high schooler. We know the talent is there. He was the number 1 overall pick. You see him run around. You see some of the throws. Yes, he's short, but the reality is with Kyler Murray is he's the kind of guy who, yes, the Arizona Cardinals, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Saints, but then you lose your last 2 games and you start playing actual competition, and that's actual competition includes a 49ers team who we love Fred Warner. Nick Bosa gets hurt during the game. Mac Jones is in there instead of Brock Purdy. We love Kyle Shanahan, but this isn't even a great 49ers team. And then you lose last night to the Seahawks. I think we just know what Kyler Murray is at this point. Kyler Murray is the kind of quarterback that if you're on a 3rd or 4th place schedule, which he's going to be on a lot, every couple of years you have a chance to be competitive or make the playoffs. If he is a 1st or 2nd place schedule, you're drawing dead. He's not going to beat the elite teams. He's not going to play well in the big time spots. We've had several years now of this with Kyler Murray, where yes, he's talented. No one can take that away from him. Yes, he is almost a better version of Russell Wilson. And to quote Richard Sherman, we've seen what Russell looked like once he got out of Seattle, once he no longer had an all-time great defense. Russell Wilson, who is by most accounts played himself out of the Hall of Fame. Russell got a lot of guys drafted, and Kyler's one of them. But there's limitations to a short quarterback. Not trying to be a sizist, not trying to be a heightist. There's just limitations. And Kyler is probably as talented as you can possibly be as a short quarterback. He's probably as talented as you get being a short quarterback. He's got an arm. He can run around. He's faster than Russ. He's probably faster than everybody in the league, maybe league history besides exactly Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick. But it's again, the Cardinals are going to be on a 3rd, 4th place schedule, around 500, a little under 500. They're going to be underwhelming when it comes to the other good teams in their division, Niners, Seahawks. We know what he is. So I just, what are we doing? The reality is, this is who Kyler Murray is. It's not going to get much better. And again, in a season, you have to start making that decision of, okay, are we still just early on and figuring it out? Or is this just who we are? Your first year or 2 in the league, it's still early. You're still figuring it out. Year 6 or 7 like Kyler Murray, we know what you are. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest, most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.